Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome back to episode 5 of Urban Empire. This will actually be the last video on this game because I'm really not enjoying it as much as I thought I would be. Now that's quite disappointing because I really thought when I saw the sort of pre-release videos for this game that it would be something that I would definitely be able to get into. Now by no means should you consider this video a review. Obviously, I haven't played far enough at all into the game for anything to be considered a review. But this should be considered as a sort of first impressions. I've put almost 2 hours into the game so far. And of course, it's probably worth taking into consideration that a lot of people these days, if a game doesn't grip your attention within the first couple of hours, it's probably very unlikely that you will put much time into the game beyond that. So I feel that a game should at least get your attention within the first couple of hours. So after I played and recorded the first 4 videos for this game yesterday, there were a few bits and pieces about the game that I didn't really understand and I didn't really enjoy and I didn't really get. So I thought, well, I'm going to have a look through and I'll look at the Steam reviews and see if anybody else has had the same problems that I have. Because one of the major problems that I've been having is this whole trying to make money thing, which has been very, very difficult to do. And basically, what everybody has said, at least that I've read, everyone has said that the only real way to do this is to basically go and just hike all the taxes up as much as possible. And just, this is basically what you have to do. So you just want to quickly ramp the taxing up to max, which I can understand. Because building more districts to try and get more population doesn't really seem to offset the cost of the district itself. Now, the other thing that a lot of people are saying, which again isn't something that I can disagree with, is this system here is very, very basic. Most of the time it's just a case of you pick something to push through, you try and influence the parties, and then you rinse and repeat. And that is very much how the game feels. There isn't really an awful lot to do. And it gets quite repetitive quite quickly, which again, I can also agree with. Now, a lot of people have also noted that, if you remember right at the beginning of the game, I showed you that there were various different parties, various different families that you could pick to start the game with. Apparently, it doesn't really matter which one of them you play as, because the game plays the same. Looks like this is going to go through. Maybe we could influence someone a little bit. But basically, it doesn't matter which one of those families that you play as. The game pretty much works the same all the way through. And the same with this thing here. Basically, spending your goodwill to influence different parties to vote your way. A lot of the time, there isn't really a huge impact to doing this. So yeah, you lose some goodwill, but you're still able to continually try and influence the parties later on. So it's normally pretty easy to get everything to go your way. And this thing here, I mean, this is hardly even a minigame. I honestly thought that was actually going to go through our way. I'm quite surprised how much it went in the other direction. Let's just overrule it. We'll use some prestige and just overrule it, because why not? So obviously that upsets a lot of people, but we needed the tax money. So now we're getting more money from everyone. So at least we're not losing money anymore. But of course, the moment we go ahead and build another district, it's going to cost us more money. Now, this is another issue that I was finding with the tutorial. I think a game like this needs to have a good tutorial. Now, I understand it's very, very difficult to make a tutorial that covers everything in a strategy game. But what I noticed instantly from playing the tutorial is the tutorial was getting me to buy things and spend money when I didn't have money. I had negative balance and I was losing money every month. But the tutorial was still insisting that I try and buy things that I could not afford to, which I found to be quite strange. So I really do feel that the tutorial needs some work. Now, I'm actually quite disappointed because I thought overall the concept for this game is actually quite good. It does have something going for it. What I don't understand is why it seems to have been implemented so poorly. I mean, mechanically, if we're talking about the sort of engine-wise, there's nothing wrong with the game. I haven't really noticed any performance issues, although a lot of the reviews are saying that when you get into the later game, it does start to get performance issues. I haven't noticed any myself, but there again, my PC is a bit of a monster. But I think the issue is more with the game's mechanics. There just seem to be quite a few things that don't seem to be fully formed. It could have done with a little bit more time in the oven. Where it's like the whole government thing. It's a nice idea, but after a while it just becomes more of an annoyance. Every time you want to do something within your city, you basically have to go and push through a vote for it, which, you know, is a nice idea, but it doesn't take long before that whole notion becomes tedious and you don't really want to mess around doing that anymore. Go ahead and see if we can actually create this other district that we tried to do the other day. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I had an unrealistic expectation, but I was expecting more of this game. I was hoping for more. I'll certainly be honest about that. I was hoping it would be better than it was, and I was left a bit disappointed. But by no means was I the only person that felt this way. Let's go and confirm that. Let's go and make it high density. Can we make it high density? Yeah. Mostly our call is for residential. Not much call for industrial at all. I've also seen a lot of people saying that the RCI indicator is really broken and doesn't really matter all that much at all. So we can go ahead and get some electricity in here. That'll cost us more money than we can afford. So even just making a small district, and bear in mind, you're limited on the size of the districts you can make. It wouldn't let me make a district much smaller than this, but just imagine how much it would cost me to turn the gas, the electricity, and the water on. Far more money than I'm actually ever going to make. So we'll just go and propose that district. It does seem like, just use personal funds and just get that one pushed straight through. And we'll unpause the game. And as you can see, we're already losing money. We went from making like plus 30 to making almost minus 50 there. Sure, we'll get some more as we get more people in. But again, this comes back down to the fact that the game is really, really difficult to make any money in. And I feel that that's one of the things that kind of makes me struggle with it. Right to vote's going through. What we can also do is let's go through again and let's go and whack the taxes up a load more, because why not? Apparently that's the way to win this. Just tax people to the max. Which, you know, it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the way that the game goes, but it is. So let's just go ahead and appeal all of these parties. Let's just go and use our influence to basically just push them all up to the top. So we've got 2 goodwill with you. Let's just go and push you forwards. And so this literally just becomes a exercise in clicking, really. There's often very little downside to doing these things. So, in essence, what I'm beginning to feel with this game is it feels a lot like it's designed for mobile. A lot of it just feels like it's one of those clicker games that you know, play while you're sat on the toilet or waiting for a bus or something like that. It doesn't feel like it has a lot of depth. Now, another thing that I noticed in the reviews, which I absolutely do agree with, is the lack of feedback from the user interface. You often see these little icons and things appear above buildings that tells you that something is going on, but it doesn't actually explain to you anywhere what those icons do. There's like zero documentation for the game to actually explain, and the tutorial certainly never does. So you end up seeing all of these little things popping up and you're thinking, well, what does that actually mean? How do I solve the issue? What is the issue for a start? And then how do I actually solve it? And like I said, if there's no documentation, and if the tutorial never explains that to you, I mean, like, I know obviously that means that the taxes have been raised, but of course that makes sense because I've just told them to raise the taxes. But you'll often see other little, like this one here. What did that icon mean? It's a little briefcase with a plus on it. and it's going up. What does that represent? That doesn't tell me anything. I'm seeing them again.
The work of epidemiology.
Another thing that I've read is about the tech tree, which basically says there isn't really anything that slows you down. Now, how do I put this? Basically, you can go through the tech tree in pretty much any order that you want. There isn't really much of a penalty for not researching a specific tech, and it's not one of those games where you have to pick and choose which techs you take because you'll get left behind. Basically, you can research everything. You can get everything researched and still progress to the next era. So it almost feels like, again, the tech tree is just there for an exercise in clicking, as opposed to actually having a real valid reason to pick and choose what order you get stuff in. So, again, I think it just comes down to the fact that the game is good in principle, but it just doesn't quite have enough going for it. You can see now that I've hiked the taxes up, we're actually making a decent amount of money now. Now, if I was to start playing this again from the beginning, which I'm not going to, but if I was to do that, my instant action would be literally just bump the whole thing, the taxes up as high as I can. Now, another thing, apparently there are 3 different victory types in this game, 3 different ways to win. The tutorial doesn't at any point explain any of those. Support. I'm not even reading these, by the way. I'm at the point now where it's just like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this game. It's not what I wanted it to be. It's not what I hoped it would be, and that might be on me. Maybe that's unfair because I'm not giving the game enough of a chance, and I fully understand that strategy games do take a long time to learn, but I'm just not really feeling it, you know. Mild punishment for sodomy. Again, do I even want this to go through? Am I all that bothered? But if we wanted to, we could just go through and just use our goodwill. And sure, the more we do this, the more we damage our goodwill. But who cares, right? We just go through and just basically threaten everybody just to push them to the right side. And then we go and let that vote go through. So this whole idea with the council, again, it seems like a good idea, but it doesn't really have an awful lot of depth to it. And it's the same thing for every single time. Okay, as you go through the eras, you get more and more parties, which means it's going to be increasingly more difficult to influence everybody onto your side. But again, it doesn't seem that difficult just to go in here, use some goodwill, and push people in the direction you want them to go. See, we're on -1 goodwill here, but we can still threaten them. Okay, we didn't get as much movement as we would have done if we'd have had more goodwill, but we did still manage to move them over. And again, that vote will go in our favour. So, you know, I really, really hate giving games bad press. I often get sent lots of games that I don't think are very good, right? And I don't ever want to be one of those people who sell out and basically go, oh, you should get this game, it's fantastic, it's the best game in the world ever. I'm never going to be that guy. But at the same time, you know, if I get handed a key for a game that I don't particularly enjoy or I don't think is any good, and I do get keys for a lot of games that I take one look at and just go, oh, this is rubbish. Normally what happens in that case is I just don't make a video of the game. I'd sooner give a game no publicity than bad publicity. Now, unfortunately, I'd already kind of started playing this before I really realised, you know, how the game was, which is a bit of a shame. So that's a problem. Let's go ahead and turn everything on for this district. Sure, why not? Let's turn them gas, water, and electricity. Let's just see how much this costs us, right? We're not going to put any other things in there, but we'll confirm the services. So it's going to cost us 2.6 million and cost us 161 million a month, which is basically like all the money that we've got. We'll just go for the normal vote. Everyone will say yes. So yeah, as I was saying, I don't like giving games bad publicity, but I really do feel that this game is one that should have had a little bit more time on the drawing board. It just feels like they had a good idea. It was a good concept, but then, I don't know, maybe it needed a little bit more input from some focus groups or something like that, because there are just certain bits and pieces of it that don't feel quite right. And okay, I come from a background of 4X games and grand strategy games, and I shouldn't be expecting anything that is anywhere near as... I shouldn't be expecting anything that is anywhere near as complex. But again, the more I play this, the more I really do feel like I'm just playing a mobile game. Which brings me on to the interface. I mean, I've already mentioned the fact that you see a lot of icons and things on the screen where the game doesn't tell you what they mean. And again, we're seeing those little things popping up here, but I'm, again, I have no idea what that means. I assume that means that people's moving in, but shrug, you know, who knows. We also see that when we try to do something, for example, such as an edict. So if we look at some of the edicts that we can get, if we just click on any of these, some of them, they do tell you what happens. So money that citizens can use on private companies affects all female citizens plus age group usually dependent upon others, plus 30. Plus 30 what? That's not really telling me anything. I mean, what is this unit? Is that plus 30 gold? 30%? What is it? Same here. So, monthly city fund expenditures into City Hall. Plus 1,500. So that means, does it cost us 1,500 more a month? Or do we gain 1,500 a month? I've also noticed some numbers where a positive number is bad, and some numbers where a negative number is bad. But the game doesn't really always explain those for you. City curfew. Bonus to fun equals -2. Okay, so that would make sense to me. And again, you see them in red and green, so that should, you know, green is good, red is bad. Bonus to security. So we gain 5 security at -2 to social life, -2 to fun. Okay, that one makes sense. But some of them don't. So lowest class gets a negative to fun. Security goes up +1. Okay, some of them do make sense. But there are certainly some that I've seen where I've looked at them and gone, well, what? So all of this looks like, with this edict, everything is good. But then monthly city fund expenditures, central hospital plus 3,000. Well, surely, if my expenditure's going up, that means I'm spending more money. Surely if I'm spending more money, that should be seen as bad, not good. Because I'm spending more money, I'm going to have less income. But again, if some of this stuff was actually explained in the tutorial, or the tooltips were a little bit clearer, and this is something that I feel that strategy games really should do. You should provide detailed feedback to the player. In order for a player to actually maximize their strategy, they need to know what's going on in the game. If the game isn't providing enough feedback for the player to actually really understand what's going on, then you've instantly got yourself a problem. See, everyone's going to be against this one, and because I wasn't trying to appeal early on, I'm not going to be able to push everybody forward to do this one. So we could just go for like the threaten as much as possible on these ones. So again, there's always a way. It's just like you just go, well, okay, we'll just basically go and threaten everybody and get as many people to do it as possible. Probably still won't go our way. If I'd have started doing it a bit earlier on, it might have. So yeah, that's probably not going to go our way, but once more, it just goes to show sort of how shallow the council system is. So again, you've got all of these positive effects. If all these are to be believed that they're a positive effect because they're all green, all of the parties were opposing it. And that comes back to another one of the... This comes back to another one. Again, okay, that means what? I saw all those little faces. Fun. So City's Fun went up. Okay, that one makes sense. But one of the other reviews that I was reading was saying that the parties don't make sense because you've got Liberals and you've got Conservatives, and the Liberals will vote against things that Liberals never would, and the Conservatives will vote for things that Conservatives never would. It doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. And I must admit, I'm actually getting further through this game now, because I was having a real struggle playing this when I was trying it yesterday. And all I'm basically doing now is going through and clicking on stuff at random, and I seem to be doing far better now than I was before. And now these things you get up here, these sort of family pop-up events, again, some people were saying that the game's actually quite cool that it has those, that you've got almost like a little narrative story interwoven with the game itself, which is good. But at the same time, those events are random, and it's possible to play through the game without actually... See, what are these things here? I've seen a red skull and crossbones with an arrow pointing down. I'm assuming that's bad, but I don't know what it means. These little chevrons pointing upwards, what do they mean? So yeah, these events that can happen do happen at random, so it is quite possible to play through a game without them ever really happening. Cutting their taxes. Pose. But, yeah, I must admit, I'm saddened for this, and I'm a little bit disappointed. This was a game that I was looking forward to. I was hoping it was going to be much more than it was. Maybe I went into it with unrealistic expectations. Now, that's not to say that the game might not be enjoyable for some people. There are some people that just really enjoy these kind of games, find them quite casual, and will quite happily while away the hours playing a game like this. That is fine. However, the game does have almost a premium price tag. I mean, it's I think it's about, I can't remember the exact prices at the moment, but I know it wasn't a cheap game. Again, like I said, I did get my own copy from the developer, so it's not like I paid for this one. And to be honest, I'm glad I didn't, because I think if I'd have paid for this myself, I'd have probably put it in for a refund. I mean, that might sound bad. I mean, that's probably all the endorsement you need right there. I'd have asked for a refund on this game. But the price is currently £34.99 on the UK store, which is probably about $45–50 in the US. It's got 971 reviews on Steam at the time of recording this, and the reviews are mixed. So that pretty much sums it up. If I just go and look on there now, there's 582 positive reviews, 538 negative reviews. And some of these reviews, again, if I look at the top reviews, they're all the negative ones, and some of these are from people who have put 20 hours or so in this game. So, you know, you shouldn't take my word as a review, because I've really not played that far in. But certainly from what I just saw playing for the first 90 minutes, I could agree with the majority of those negative reviews. So it's always really disappointing for me, because let's be honest, it affects business. There's a company somewhere of developers who have put time, money and resources into making a game, and the game has not been well received by the public, and that's going to hurt their future sales, and it's also going to hurt their reputation for making more games in the future. And I really hate being on that side of the fence. But at the end of the day, I hope that they actually are able to learn from it. I hope that they're able to take on board the criticisms and the complaints from the negative reviews, and I hope that they have the time and available resources to be able to go and patch this game and improve it and actually turn it into something that's better, that will get good reviews. But unfortunately, you only get one chance to make a first impression, so you know, it's going to be an uphill struggle for them. So I'm actually a little bit saddened by that. But I'm going to end things here, because obviously I'm just rambling on now. This is the most money I've had in the entire game. But this has been Urban Empire. I will keep my eye on it. Obviously, if it does get some patches and improvements in the future, I may come back and have another dabble, just to see if they've actually made any decent changes to it, and I'll be sure to let you guys know. So, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you have enjoyed watching this rather short series. Hopefully it has given you a little bit of insight into the game. I'll see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.